And 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Welcome to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning, Tuesday edition. I'm your host, Loren Meadows, filling in for Shane on this lovely morning. Soon we'll be joined by Buddy Martin of GatorBaitMedia.com, and later women's head basketball coach Rae Finley and the great Florida tight end Ben Troop will join as well. We want to thank James Bates for all that he's done for PodUp with Matthews in the Morning. Bates is a great guy, great character, one of the great Florida Gators in history. And follow and like us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You can listen to us on all 37 digital platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, and many more. And this is PodUp with Matthews in the Morning, coming to you from the International Diamond Center Studios. Fine jewelry, watches, and much more, family owned and operated, with the largest selection of natural diamond jewelry. And with that, we welcome in the man, the myth, the legend, Ocala's finest, my mentor, my friend, Buddy Martin. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, I didn't know you were talking about that for a minute. What a pleasure it is to be on with you, Loren, and I am so proud of you. You're getting to be really good at this. That's scary. I tell you what, that's great. James Bates, he is. I saw an ACC. I accidentally flipped on ACC, and I saw a piece he did. I love Batesy. I'm surprised he's not loved by more and known by more. He's been so good since he played for the Spurrier championship team. He's a million laughs. He's creative. He's a genius. Good he's still around Gainesville. He still belongs to the ACC too. So Batesy's the man.
Oh yeah, no doubt. So, buddy, how's your bracket looking?
Blank.
Blank.
Yeah, it's blank. Yeah.
Well, I know you've been bullish on this team, and we talked about it before you came on, but I know you wrote a piece on, what this team is, what they could be. I know you've compared them to the '07 team. A lot of similarities with the way they crashed the glass and things like that. But just speak on the piece that you wrote, maybe about Florida, even though they earned the #1 seed, not getting the respect that you feel like this team deserves.
I know it sounds a little bit like whining, Loren, but then I'm good at whining. That's what I do. This is the time to be joyful with things that are going on in Gator Nation, especially in the basketball and football programs and others as well, but particularly in basketball. It's a rare time. It's one of those times that you look back and say, man, put it in a time capsule. Because I want to reopen this 15, 20 years down the road and feel the joy. And there's so much joy going on. I could go on and be effusive about Todd Golden's team. I've just enjoyed the ride so much. And this, I do mostly a football show, but Martin show mostly football. But basketball, as you know, you're on the show. And you'll be hosting it tonight, by the way. You're really busy. And we talk football. And we haven't hardly even talked football this last couple of weeks, Loren. And that's for a good reason, because the basketball is such a good story. But I kind of feel like, as one of the senior citizens, I need to at least point out the fact that Florida was ignored for the most part for the first half of the season. And I started trying to figure out why. What's the deal? It was pretty plain to see, without being a homer, without being saying, hey, you're all wrong, my Gators are the greatest. They didn't start out great. They had some hiccups, but man, they should have been recognized a long time ago as the powerhouse that they are. What are they, 5-1 against the big three in the SEC? I could go on forever here.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
thinking, what did these people not see that we did see? That we knew this was a top 2 or 3 team a long time ago. And of course, with Hand coming back, they got even better and better. So I wrote this piece this morning saying, look, I don't like to sugarcoat things. I do, when I believe somebody's wrong, a coach or a program, I say it. For 50 years I've done that. I sometimes have been unenlightened or wrong, no question about it. But I believe when something is wrong, I try to say, look, they got this wrong. They got it wrong. And Florida easily was one of the best one or two teams in the country. And it's like they had to earn their way into the room. So I'm a little bit ticked off, and I kind of went to do a little research on trying to figure out what were some of the reasons. And I wrote that today. So if that makes any sense, should be happy and say, "Oh, little boy, go away. You got your top ranked team. You got your number one seed." But I can't do that. I can't let go of it, Lauren.
Yeah, I feel you. And Buddy is brought to us by Comfort Temp Heating and Air, your number one local HVAC company. Professional and experienced technicians keep you informed throughout the entire project. Visit us at comforttemp.com. Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. And Buddy, as you talk about that and you say they got it wrong, I mean, we have the four number one seeds. Obviously, we have Auburn. We have Houston, we have Duke. I think it actually goes Auburn, Duke, Houston, then the Florida Gators. If you look at those four teams, and I know, because we follow football and the SEC a lot, not necessarily diving into Duke and Houston, but we know that the Florida Gators were able to go to Auburn, get a dominating win on Auburn's home floor. Do you think that maybe the committee put a little bit too much into the non-conference, into those quad one wins that they speak of so much, and basically taking off basically the last 10 games of the season when Florida really seemed to ascend to one of maybe the most complete team in the country?
Well, you bring up a good point, and it's like, why do you suddenly say the last games of the season don't count? And all those games back to November against non-conference opponents are more important. Quad one, I'll tell you what's better than quad one, beating somebody head to head. And that 90-81 victory at Auburn was really worse than that. They were up by 25, whatever, and they dominated Auburn. And I'm not, look, I mean, Auburn's a good basketball team. I hate to play them again, but I think it's going to have to happen that way because I think we're going to have the Tiffany matchup. Pearl being on one side and golden on the other. Get
Absolutely.
it, Tiffany? Which
Yes,
we're
sir.
all,
Yeah.
well, we're
Oh,
all
yeah.
kind of rooting for here. But why didn't, excuse me, why didn't they get up there earlier? Well, I tell you why. This is a peer opinion. Gonna make some of my friends mad in Alabama, but they got so enamored. There were people in programs in Alabama who were on that selection committee, the prominent positions. Why didn't they get some love from Florida? They thought the world was on fire for only the Iron Bowl of basketball. Auburn, Alabama, and granted, it was a wonderful moment, but that this two teams, but they suddenly thought the only two basketball teams in the universe were Auburn and Alabama, and they completely ignored the fact they were getting the crap beat out of them by Florida. And they just sort of, oh, well, okay, by the way. And instantly, I think Bruce Pearl's a terrific coach. Obviously, he was a mentor for Todd, but he lost three of his last four, Lauren. Since when doesn't that matter? Apparently, it doesn't. So there's something wrong here, and I think my friends in Alabama got their heads in the cloud, got so involved in an Iron Bowl of basketball, they forget, hey, here's this team in Florida. They're not only good, not only a number one pick, maybe the best team in the country. So now they'll have to prove it. Probably it's better for Todd Golden and these Gators, but still, I think it was wrong. I think it was not a way to give them their just due.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. And Franklin Hall kind of said, and we'll kind of get to that. We have a YouTube question brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Quality Plumbing, residential and commercial plumbing services and emergency repair since 1984. Our name says it all. And Franklin Hall says, beware of the rat poison. Beware the rat poison, buddy. I would assume that he's speaking of jumping into this team maybe too soon. And we talked about the road that this team has to go on. We talked about it on the pop-up show that we did on Sunday with Kevin Skarbinski, the Auburn folks and some of those guys. And we talked about Florida's road, and maybe a hiccup could be that second round matchup there in Raleigh with possibly the two-time defending champion UConn Huskies,
Yep.
or a team that they beat soundly during the season, the Oklahoma Sooners. But what maybe I'm gonna go in the positive. What do you like about this team that maybe says, No way. No rat poison. No way. Because this team is so good at what, buddy?
Everything. And I think they don't have a weakness. And Jay Butler said it. They don't have a weakness. And I tell you, I like Todd Golden. He's addressed this whole national championship thing. He's not dodging it. He told them, you can win this thing. You can win to be national champions this thing you be. Just keep doing what you're doing, one foot in front of the other. Take care of business, do the things we say. And he has an ability to keep this team going. They play in spurts. When they're on fire offensively, throwing that bad baseball pass down the court, I mean, they can't be stopped. I like the fact that no matter who you put on this floor, what five, they're all competitive, they're all good, they can all shoot. As we say, five big guards, five guards, five big guys, run the court great. They just and they're resilient. They're resilient, and I asked Shane last night about that. He said he likes their consistency. So I like everything about this team. The way Golden's coached them, they're mature. They understand this is what they have to do. There's no like, oh, let's don't jinx it. They understand. They have to take care of business, get that first one out of the way. Norfolk State. I don't know much about them, but I looked up a little bit last night. And then get on to, and UConn does scare me. And I think they will beat Oklahoma. Later on, there's a Texas Tech team out there, too, that could be a problem. But look, as they say, your football coach told you when you were in the sixth grade, play them one at a time. I'm content for them to play in number 16 and playing on Saturday night and going to the next round and enjoy every game, every way. And I love watching these players. I asked the question last night, what one player do you think has shown you the most surprising promise? We knew that Walter was a stud, the three guards were studs, but what player did? And I'll ask you the same question. Was there one player on this team that has come through that has surprised you how good he is?
Thomas Howell. I mean, no doubt. And Tommy and I had a conversation actually before I think it was before the spring game, and I said to him in the spring, I said, "Are you gonna work on your free throws? Because if you remember, he shot I think below 50% as a freshman," and he said, "Yes, sir." And I think at the time we talked during basketball season, he was up around maybe over 80%. And I said, "You remember that conversation we had?" He said, "Yeah, I do actually." And I thought that he got absolutely robbed for six man of the year in the SEC. I mean, his effect on the game on both ends of the floor. I mean, to come in, I mean, your six man is instant offense. It makes an instant impact, and that's what Thomas Houck has been able to do. So, I mean, I would say Thomas Houck for sure, and Dan Bond. And this is something you would like, buddy, because I know you're a big story guy and you like stories. He's coming to us from the Facebook Live, brought to you by Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law firm partner of the Florida Gators. He says Golden versus Patino, which could be the 1-2
Yeah.
matchup in the regional final, would be a good story as well.
Yeah, no question. This really goes out there, and you're right about this team and the play. And Thomas Howell is having not only is he the best six man, he's one of the best players in the country. Period. How he didn't get the six man, I don't know. And boy, I tell you, whatever he did for his free throws, he needs to make a video out of it. That guy's deadly. He's knocked down. I mean, how many points has he scored the last two games? 20 something points on
Yeah.
just
Oh, yeah.
field goal and free throws. My guy's Chimera. Just because I didn't expect that much out of him. He not only is a really good defender and a big body and whatever, he can put the ball in the hole. And he's got a little jump baby hook putback that has really been terrific. And he's a battler. And he has brought, so if he can stay out of foul trouble, this team could get exponentially even better, Lauren.
I hear you. Ruzogra State Farm office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com or call us at 352-240-1779. Yeah, you mentioned Ruben Chinlo, buddy. And you know what's amazing about him is he's a guy that really didn't play much at Washington State as a freshman. You know, he was somebody that I think Todd Golden and company tried to get in the fold. Originally didn't get him, and then I think maybe coming out right out of school, but then had some coaching changes there at Washington State and were able to get him back. And I mean, it's like every game he gets better and better and better. And I mean, buddy, someone just asked, I can't remember, let's see, someone asked on the Facebook Live hotline, what does Golden do best in your opinion? Is it recruiting? Is it X and O's? Is it player development? And you could speak to that last thing when you look at a guy like Chinyelu who plays sparingly at a school like Washington and then comes to the SEC and I mean is just a dominant force. So I would maybe say, as much as Ty Golden gets credit for analytics and all that, the player development piece maybe is one thing that he doesn't get enough credit for.
I wouldn't disagree, but I'd add one more: finding the talent. He sees these guys, he sees in it what he wants to find, and he picks the players and gets them in the portal, and then he develops it. But you got to be able to see that talent. I mean, like you said, Chimera, who knew that guy was going to be that kind of player he is? I could even pick out Walter Clayton Jr. out of with no problem. But there's other guys in there. And the other thing was, this is something that's so impressive. Their bigs run the court about as good as I've ever seen. And that little baseball pass they throw on the break, when they're running and they're throwing that baseball pass and those bigs getting out, they're unstoppable.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. And on the YouTube hotline coming to you from Quality Plumbing, this is an interesting thought as well as we talk about the different teams. Someone in the SEC network said that Auburn has a switch that they can hit, play a totally different level than everyone else whenever they want. Is that
Yeah,
something that,
man.
is that a thing, buddy? I mean, you've been around it. I mean, I think at this time you've seen enough tournaments. Is that a thing, or is Auburn maybe, maybe Auburn is in for some rat poison?
Yeah, the rat poison thing, of course, made famous by Nick Saban. Actually, the guy who started it was Billy Donovan. He said it a long time before that, and about his championship teams. I'll tell you what the thing is. The thing is when you can go on a run. That's the thing. That switch is something when basketball is a game of runs. And what I love about Florida is they can give up a run, as they've done a couple of times, and come right back and make a run. And as all the coaches say, basketball is a game of runs. You don't want to go 22-0, but the bottom line is that when you know it's going to happen, they come right back after a made basket by the opponent. I think Florida might be the most dangerous team in the country because they can come right back, catch you, and put it right back in the hole. So I think it's a thing only because a game of runs, and I don't think anybody's that good they can flip a switch and just take the game over. You can have a run, but you don't necessarily dominate. So it's a thing, but it's not a thing.
Yeah. Los Linderos Tequila. When Urban Meyer wanted to introduce his high quality tequila to the Gator Nation, he made sure to get it to the HBC and his team at Spurs Gridiron Grill and Dorn's Liquors. Go beyond with smooth Los Linderos Tequila. And that's your guy, Urban Meyer, getting into everything right now, buddy, but doing a great job on Fox. But yeah, I mean, as we continue to look at this, I mean, you have the tournament going on. Florida's on spring break now. Spring football is kind of on hold, but it's kind of a fun time when you look at, with maybe what we have going on. Women's basketball is in the postseason for a historical second year in a row. Rae Finley continues to try to get it going. Tim Walton got a big win against the number one Texas
Boy,
Longhorns
that was
last
big.
night
That was a
in
big one.
softball, big win, and their spring football. Is this a good time? I mean, and I know you down the road, we got the Masters. I know you like golf and things like that. Is this one of the best times for sports? I mean, everybody talks about football season and loves the fall, but is the spring kind of overlooked sometime when you look at everything that's going on in the basketball and just in the sports world in general?
Well, you take all those spring sports. I mean, Florida's on the diamond. I mean, look, I watched that softball game last night. And they needed to win that. They're without Rothrock. They needed her. They've been struggling, and they came back and won a tough one against Texas after giving up a run on a really poor defensive plays to start the game. Won it 3-1. At least they got a one out of the three, and that means they'll meet again, I think, at some point down the time. Spring is wonderful. Let me tell you something. As a sports writer, as you know, I once was one of those. I guess I am now.
No, you
Um,
still won.
is that one of the great, and back when you travel, when newspapers sent you out, all the Kevin Skarvinsky and I talked about this. Well, back in the day, you just go on the road interminably. And one of the great joys for a guy who was fortunate enough to be out covering March Madness on the road for a couple of weeks, and you're covering the team, and then you get off the back of the airport, and you can go home and change your underwear. You go right to Augusta. That's one of the greatest. That's the greatest double in my mind in sports, to come out of March Madness and into Augusta National, where it's warm. By the way, the grass is green, and when you're coming from New York, which I did for a number of years, or Denver, that green grass looks awful good in Augusta. So I love Augusta. I've covered, I don't know, 30 some of those tournaments and whatever. But you can't beat football, Loren. You know that. That's my sport. I love football. I'm excited about what this team might be. I think Gator fans are a little bit afraid to go forward and put a little confidence out there and say, yeah, this playoff team, there's a lot we don't know yet about the quarterback situation. With DJ having an injury, I'm not sure exactly how bad that is. You hear a lot of rumors. But this spring, we're going to find out something. Unfortunately, what we won't find out about is the front seven, because you just don't hit enough to be able to do that. So I'll ask you, you're out there a lot. What do you think about the front seven, the defense?
Well, I can only go on what people that know a lot more than me have been told, and that's the guys that work with the guys every day. And I've spoken with guys on, we talked to Gerald Chapman. I think he feels like he has a really good group coming back. They're getting Jamari Lyons back from injury. I think he's ahead of schedule, even though he's wearing the injured jersey. He's going through some individual drills. I wrote about that. And then I know they like those young linebackers. I know you're a big Miles Graham guy, as I am,
Yeah.
guys like Aaron Childs. And, even though they lost a guy like Shamar James, it almost was not a good thing, because you never want to lose a great player, great leader like Shamar James. He, you know, but those young guys, they are so intrigued by those young guys, LJ McCray, Miles Graham, Aaron Childs, that they really think they're going to be stout against the run and be able to really, create some havoc there in the trenches. So, you and I both know the offense is ready to go. Jaden Ba, your guy, is going to be sharp. I think Lagway will be fine. I think this is just precaution in an era where spring ball, just you don't need to see much. And you get him ready, get him up to speed. The receivers are lights out. But yeah, I mean, as far as when you talk to the coaches, they really like this young group and feel like they've recruited at a high level, to the point where the front seven, it could end up being the strength of the defense. So, I mean, like I said, all we can go on is what the guys that see those guys on a daily basis say, and I think they're going to be a pretty good team.
Sometimes injuries can be your friend, or whatever. If you remember Kyle Trask, he might never have gotten on the field except for an injury. You know what? How the great player he was. Also, DJ Lagway is there because of an injury to Graham Mertz, who was a wonderful player and got hurt. But the Florida, imagine if DJ had not gotten on the field last year, how different this year's look. So injuries can be your friend. I think they've been Florida's friend in that regard. There's enough talent there. I can't wait to see some of these young wide receivers. I'm hearing from people, and you have too, that these young receivers are tearing it up, and they can't wait to see them on the field. And the speed, and even Trey Wilson coming back now better than ever. So I'm hearing really great things about receivers. Now that you can see some of that in spring ball. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to see. I wish we could see DJ throwing the ball a little more regularly. I'm sure he'll throw some in the spring game, but not much.
Right. Yeah. And somebody, as we stay on Lagway, John Brock asked, he said, Lauren, I know you love the receivers. How good is the wide receiver group going to be? And that was brought to us, the Facebook question brought to us by Meldon Law. I mean, buddy, I played receiver, coach receivers. I mean, I think this receiver group could be as good as Billy Napier's had in his era, just because of the depth. I mean, you talk about guys like Aiden Mizell, J. Michael Sturdivant, who came over from UCLA, who looks like $1 million. I mean, Vernell Brown the third. I mean, they're gonna have literally a 4x1 team of just guys that can get off release And I think this is going to be maybe the best group. You talk about Eugene Wilson coming back full strength. He looks really good on the hoof, looks a lot stronger, a lot more mature. They're going to be a team that I think not only is going to be able to get open, but a group that, Billy Gonzalez preaches that blocking, as you know, buddy. And I think then it creates a knack to them. Once you get the ball in your hands, you want to punish the guy even more. So I think they're going to be a group that makes a lot of plays once they get the ball in their hands as well.
I agree, and I think it's going to be. I know they made it when they go to four wides, which is not against coaches because Napier's nature, but I mean, I hear rumors even they might do that. That'd be wonderful to see that set out there because he loves that tight end, and I get it. But man, they got the talent. If talent's what it is, put four wides on the field with DJ Lagway and let him go, brother. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I can say this with a fact. I was told by someone very close to the program that has been a discussion and is a good possibility that the Gators will be in four wides. And for me, it's not about entertainment of football, buddy. We talk some X's and O's on our show. It's about the fact that you then open up, it gives you just more leeway to even run the football. You're spreading people out. You're getting a lighter box. So guys like Jaden Ba and Trayon Webb and others can really get loose. And I mean, I think and then once you put DJ Lagway's legs into we assume he's going to be healthy and be more of a factor in the QB run guard, just even by scrambling, it just makes it more effective. So, being able to spread teams out, kind of play what I call basketball on grass, so to speak. And you just open things up. So yeah, I mean that seems to be the notion that is a great possibility. But outside the receivers, buddy, in the front seven, is there anyone that you want to see, you're looking forward to seeing as this spring kind of comes to its second phase and comes to a close?
Well, I'm so enamored with what's going to happen to Lagway because he's a key to everything, and I think that's what I want to see. There's not much I can tell about the front seven, as we said. Miles Grimm, I love. I just got to see those four, those four big men, and that's what I'm hearing too. That the defensive line is much improved. Back to the basketball and grass, if I may, just for a second. I know
Absolutely.
You gotta go. I was kind of a student of Mouse Davis' run and shoot. I knew Mouse pretty well. He coached the Denver Gold. I spent many an hour talking, explaining the run and shoot. Now that was brand new to football back then.
Absolutely.
And I'll tell you how new it was. When I went to work for CBS and NFL Today, we had a big meeting for the whole group, the announcers, everybody. I don't know how I got in the room, but I was sitting over there on the table by myself. And along comes James Brown, who at that time was the host. He says, I understand you can explain the run and shoot to me. I don't know if I can explain it or not, but I know that I've seen it and I really love it. And he said, what's it like? I said, it's more like basketball. That's what I told him. It's more like basketball. Think of the fast break. Think of the running the lanes, whatever. And I said, that's how I think. And I saw that run and shoot for 2 years. Beautiful thing to watch. I wouldn't. Now, Spurrier has his own, the Fun and Gun, it was a version of that itself. So yeah, I'm excited to see the new wrinkles. I hope Billy will loosen up a little bit there, and maybe and he has to get the formations, and then he has to call the plays. I think people want to know what Billy's going to be like as the play caller. He's always been the play caller and will always be the play caller. But I'd like to see a couple of new wrinkles, and maybe four wides is one of them.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'll tell you a quick story before I let you go. I probably would not be sitting here if it was not for the run and shoot. As a young receiver there in Dayton, Ohio, I was in a veer offense, and then our coach decided that we really didn't have the true people to push people off the ball. So we had a dynamic quarterback, and we were one of the first teams in the state of Ohio to run the run and shoot, broke a lot of records, and that sent a young man off to Ohio Northern to learn a lot of football and grow. And here we are. So, I mean, I've always been a fan. That's why I'm a Titans fan. I was a Houston Oilers fan. So, that just, it's funny that you mentioned Mouse Davis and the run and shoot. I've watched a lot of Mouse Davis tape.
Yeah,
No doubt.
by the way, don't forget the Houston Gamblers. Guess who their
Yes,
quarterback
sir.
was?
Oh, who?
Yeah. Kelly.
Oh yeah, Jim Kelly. That's right. Yeah, absolutely. So buddy, I know you're gonna be traveling, right? And
I am tonight, and you're
I'm in
the
the
host.
captain's
You
chair.
are. I
Yeah.
mean,
So
listen. I was thinking this morning how to describe it. You got more exposure than I couldn't think of anybody out there than Marilyn Monroe. I mean, you're all over the place, man. It's good to see you. You're doing a great job, Lauren. You
all
really
right.
are.
Well, thanks,
And
buddy.
thanks for having me on, and good to be with you. And enjoy the show. And I'll be listening and watching on my way back home to Ocala tonight.
Yes,
I'll
sir.
go back to God's country tonight.
All righty, man. Have a safe trip. Tell your lovely wife hello, and we'll
Thank
see you
you.
guys soon.
Thank you, Lauren.
All right, thanks. And with that, we'll take a break, and we'll be joined later by Coach Rae Finley, the women's basketball program, the Florida Gators, and the great Ben Troop.
Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union,
International Diamond Center,
Meldon Law, QC Kinetics, Dave & Buster's, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, JF Hayden Craft Liqueurs, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Los Linderos Tequila. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sporting Goods, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteak, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Signs, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Okido America, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Nest and Wow, MG&A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
I'm tired of you living in pain, and I want you to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulders, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Stop putting it off. Call now and schedule your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now in Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages. 352-400-4550. 352-400-4550.
And we're back with PodUp with Matthews in the morning. And today we're joined by my friend, the best shoe game in women's college basketball, the only coach or one of two coaches in Florida history to win multiple games in the SEC tournament. Her team will be set for their third straight trip to the postseason, be part of the women's WBIT facing Northern Iowa on Thursday night. We are joined by head women's basketball coach of the Florida Gators, Rae Finley. How you doing, Coach?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on. Really
Absolutely.
appreciate it. They switched it up last year with us, with the WBIT. We're used to the WNIT, right?
Correct.
So that's the equivalent of the males NIT, right? So it's a pretty big deal. Of course, we want to be playing in the NCAA tournament. Unfortunately, we were the first team out, so we need to be more like the men and get 14 teams in. Isn't that what happened?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, just
Exactly.
a record. I think it was 13 total. So record 13, but I mean, you all have been a team, you're a very young team. You're led by a freshman point guard in Liv McGill, but what you've been able to do the last two seasons is get this team to a point where when it really matters most and you make that trip to Greenville, you put people on notice. And is that something that with a young team you just continue to preach, or what was it that really brought that group together to really make that run? You had the impressive win, you basically a couple get back wins,
Yeah.
avenged the road loss at Auburn, and then a team that you really played well against both games and finally got over the hump against Alabama. But just speak to what that was like for your program and the girls as a whole.
Yeah,
Females, women, I'm
I
sorry.
oh no, you're good. You're good. I still think I'm a girl, Lawrence. Seriously.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know.
Right.
Sensitive to that stuff. um, it was great to see us continue to improve statistically over the course of January to February. And, as a coach, there's a lot of teams that if things aren't going their way at that point in the season, it could go really, really the wrong direction very quickly. And I think that's a testament to our leadership, to our younger players' commitment to the vision, the long-term vision here, and building a championship team. But it starts with the foundation and the culture, and I think, that Alabama win, we felt like we played them really well at home here. That Auburn game, we felt like that just competitive maturity, the length, the duration of the season, understanding the importance. You and I had talked when we were down for Thanksgiving at St. Pete, a tournament that had moved 4 or 5 times due to a hurricane. It was an unfortunate situation. Regardless, you got to win those games, right? And that's part of the maturation process to playing in the SEC, understanding that every night has to be your best night out, and that you got to show up. And so, I think that we're just continuing to improve. We've had a great week of practice. It's spring break, and so sometimes when you don't get what you want, we talked yesterday, there's a lot of teams that don't have the opportunity to play in the WBIT, and we need to take that and use that to our advantage. And then in our off season, continuing to build so that we're ready come tip off starting in November. We don't, there's no excuse. We know what it looks like. We know what it sounds like. Unfortunately last summer we had some unfortunate injuries. So we just started training as a team, everybody all together 2 weeks into the season. That's just a little bit too much too late, but I was really pleased with our late season run. And then we hope to see everybody. Nothing better to do on Thursday night of spring break than come watch your Gators play in the O-Dome, right?
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Florida Cracker Kitchen. Florida Cracker is the brand for original Floridians. Great food and Southern hospitality in the center of the universe. Brooksville, Florida, FloridaCracker.com. And with that, we welcome another friend of the program, Florida Gator great, former tight end, Tennessee Titan, just all around guy, host of 84 Reasons podcast, Ben Troop. How you doing, Ben?
I'm good, Lauren. I mean, I'm happy to have Coach Finn here. I got to ask Coach Finn this because I got it here. You said competitive maturity. I mean, as a former player, I've heard everything from Coach speak. I don't think I've ever heard competitive. I've heard, Ben, you need to be more mature, just period. but competitive maturity. Talk about that, because I think that, as a girl dad who has I think she's a big time basketball player. She's only 13.
Okay,
here we go. Okay.
I'm just saying. Listen, we don't got the O'Neal legacy, but I'm saying she's a hooper. She ain't got the height yet. But my daughter is always talking to me about, Daddy, how do I show poise on the court? Like, I need it when I'm on the court. And I think competitive maturity is one of the greatest explanations I can possibly give her.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that. Thanks for asking that question, Ben, because the difference in the Bama game, the third time around, was exactly that. We talked about the poise. And so instead of saying poise, to some of our younger student athletes, it's like, okay, who wants to have poise? No, I'm a competitor. Like, you play football, like, as a young woman, you have to be taught to be everything that you are. We don't want to train the competitiveness out of you, but like, you can't get a technical right there and let your emotions drive what you're doing, because we can't afford to give up those points. One possession is everything, right? So there's a competitive maturity that comes with being an elite team. It's not just, oh, I'm going to get my get back. Oh, I'm going to talk my stuff. Oh, I'm gonna, there's a time and a place for that, but there's also a way to do it, right? And so many times in immature competitiveness, your emotions are going to take over. And when your emotions take over, now you're not seeing clearly. Now you're not making the right reads. Now your opponent has the advantage. Well, now you just lost the game. Is that not what you wanted to do, was win? And so, I felt like over the course of the season, that's probably where our team grew the most. Just understanding the value of a possession and controlling your emotions as a competitor to, okay, yeah, right here, I got to go get a bucket for my team. Well, that goes into basketball IQ and all of those things too. So yeah, you could call it poise. We call it competitive maturity. But I think we've no doubt grown a lot in that.
Yeah, and once again, Coach Rae Finley as well as Ben Troop are brought to you by today's sponsor, Comfort Temp. Comfort Temp Heating and Air is your #1 local HVAC company. Professional and experienced technicians keep you informed throughout the entire project. Visit us at comforttemp.com. Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. And Florida Victorious, proud NIL partner of the Florida Gators. Kelly knows a little bit about them. Joined today to help make Florida victorious. And Mike M on the YouTube hotline, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, great to see the turnaround for Gators women's basketball, which I think, Coach, you would say is kind of in process. And speak to, building a program at a place like Florida that has always been on the cusp, and you've done a great job recruiting 3 McDonald's All-Americans, as well as the highly rated Kylie Kitts, who would have been probably a McDonald's All-American as well had she stayed in school. She early enrolled or reclassified, as they call it. But just speak to, what this rebuild has meant as part of, the best conference by far in women's basketball, and where this team is headed as you just continue to grow and put more notches on the historical belt of this program.
Yeah, I think, the biggest thing for us is continuity in our building, right? So you can do it one of two ways. You can recruit transfers. High level women's basketball is much different, in terms of the market than men's basketball. But when you're talking about NIL markets, very, very similar, right? And so those are realities of things that we're dealing with right now that we weren't dealing with, respectfully, 3 years ago. And so retaining our current student athletes is of the utmost importance, and they're bought into the vision and what we're growing. Ben, you're talking about your daughter, and it's interesting because many times as young women, guys go like when you were playing football, Ben, right? It's like, hey, listen, let me tell you something. We got NIL, we got playing time, we got opportunity, we got SEC, we got the swamp, we got the #1 education in the SEC. Oh, and by the way, we're in Florida. You want to come play? What would you say?
Absolutely.
Yeah, sign me up. Where do I sign and how fast, right? Oftentimes younger girls go, well, that sounds good, but like, who else is coming? Like, where are my friends? Wait, how? I don't know. Can I do it? Can I actually do it? And why I say that is our freshmen and sophomores right now, like, nah, I'm going to do it. I got this. Liv McGill, that's her mentality. That's Miara O'Neal's mentality. That's Kylie Kitts' mentality. So there's an edge there. And if you want to make the breakthrough, you need the edge, right? And that's Layla Reynolds, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But Coach Finn, though, but you forgot a key component. All those things you just said make sense.
Talk to me.
But you are the one, and this is what I mean by that. As great as Florida is, they had Coach Spurrier. So when I got recruited, if I know nothing else about, I didn't even know what Florida was. Like, where is it at? Gainesville. It's like this. If I ask my daughter, what is it about Florida? She's gonna say, Daddy, you went there. She's gonna say, but I know Coach Finn.
Yeah.
13. And I say that to say this. I don't know what game y'all was playing, but you did something once again that I've never seen. Before a game, coach is gonna give their, we're gonna give our speech to get them going. You was going around each player asking, tell me why you're gonna play well today. Tell me. I ain't never seen that. I've seen a player get a team up. I like the fact that you saying, no, tell me why. And somebody kind of said something low. You like, what did you say? You letting them know, look,
Pick up.
tell me why you're gonna rebound. Tell me why you're gonna hustle. And the reason why I like that is the difference now than back when I played coach is the access. They watching y'all do everything. I mean, practice, walking, arrivals.
Oh, for sure. The drip walk. Come on, we gotta do it all.
How do you get the players adjusted to that, saying, look, I know y'all big time. There is big time where you coming from, and there is SEC basketball to where every single thing you say, tweet, interviews, it's gonna be scrutinized. How do you let them know about dealing with the feedback? I like to call it feedback. That's going to come from every single thing you say, do, and obviously when you get out there on the court is the only thing you can control.
Yeah, exactly. No, I appreciate you saying that too, because I think that's what separates our program is the relationships and the commitment to skill building and understanding how everything, all the dots have to be connected all the time. One is not separate than another. And how you present yourself, sport is still originated with education, right? And so we got to strike a balance of both, but we can help them become great, successful young business women at the same time as great basketball players, because that only enhances their brand and what they're trying to build long-term in life, right? And so, I just think that we have a young group of student athletes that are hungry to do that. I know there's been, listen, I'm a realist. Loren knows me. Like, this is not all fluff and whatever. Come to practice. Anybody that wants to come watch us practice is more than willing to, but what you're going to get is the real. So we know and we're accountable when we fall short. But we also are steadfast in the tunnel vision that's required to get somewhere and to do something that's yet to be done, right? And so it takes a different type of person, takes a different type of commitment and investment, right, from the community and the people that do show up every single day to go, yo, hold on, they're right there. But how we're building things is through development. And, I really am pleased with where we're at. Obviously, you always want more as a competitor, but continuing to connect those dots. And it starts on Thursday night for us here with what we talked about yesterday. And then I won't ramble, Loren, but I think it's a great opportunity to take the next step as a program, because that's where we fell short early in the preseason. And how much have we grown and what does that actually look like?
Yeah, and before I let you go, and speaking of development, this Facebook Live question is brought to you by Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Andy McIntosh asked on the Facebook Question Live hotline, Coach, are you pleased with Miara O'Neal's development and what is her greatest strength? Answer that, and then, just tell us what people can expect on Thursday night. And I know you got to go to film.
Yeah, no, you're good. I'm extremely pleased. Miara and I have talked a lot. Everybody has their own process. Ben, like you were talking about again with your daughter, like everybody's timeline is not the same. And there's notably, obviously, a lot of outside pressure or thoughts. And she does a remarkable job of being present, building her own legacy and understanding her process. I think you guys could see in the last 2 games of the SEC tournament, she's starting to, she's like, I'm not having to think as much. I say, yeah, that's how it's going to go. Unfortunately, there's just no way to speed that process up. And we talk a lot about, we all want to skip steps, but you can't skip steps. Not when you're building and not when you're trying to put a foundation to your game to be an amazing player. Her skill set is unique, her size, her athleticism, and when it all clicks, boy, Gator Nation, you're going to want to be in those stands. I'm going to tell you right now, don't be last to find out.
No doubt.
And especially her and Liv and their connection, and Kylie Kitts and Layla Reynolds obviously is the core of that group, and Layla's steadfastness and just her overall improvement has been tremendous. And then Thursday night, UNI is a really tough team. They put it on Iowa State. They played a really hard non-conference schedule. Iowa State, Kansas, Creighton. I think like they had eight opponents that are in the NCAA tournament right now in the non-conference, either won or lost by 2 or 4. So they're a very formidable opponent. You're going to see a lot of 5 out, kind of similar to a Missouri type. But we'll see. We would love to have everybody in the stands. And like I said, it's spring break. So come on down to the O-Dome at 7 o'clock tip-off, and we'd love to see you there.
All right. Well, we're going to pull up, Coach. So we'll see you on Thursday. Thank you for being on. I think we're going to talk later, but appreciate you coming on, and tell the ladies hello and good luck.
Awesome. We appreciate you guys. Ben, good to see you, and go Gators.
Appreciate you, Coach. Listen, tell your players stop ducking me. I'm coming for every last one of them.
I got you. Come on, pull up, man.
Yeah.
I'm coming for every last, and every time I get them on, they come on real. I said, listen, Coach Finn don't want you on his stiff now. I'm going to tell about this.
Yeah, don't do that. Come on, be real or don't be good at all.
I tell them all the time. I said, listen, I don't interview people. I have conversations on platforms. I don't interview people. I have conversations on these platforms.
I like it. I like it.
And check out the kicks on Thursday. Check out the kicks for sure.
Yes, sir.
All right, Coach.
All right, see you guys.
Okay. J.F. Hayden Craft Liquors. The Pouncey Twins provide all of the Gator Nation with the highest quality liquors made by J.F. Hayden Craft Liquors. Find your favorite, including the lychee and mango flavors at Spurs Gridiron Grill. What's up, Ben?
Man, what's up, Loren? Man, I come on here. You already got the heavy hit on.
Man, look, everybody they said on the YouTube by Quality Plumbing, they said Ben the Hurdler Troop, man. You're a legend. Anybody when you got to move. I mean, they got a guy like Grant Holloway who's known for the hurdles at Florida, but Ben is the hurdler,
Hey, I did it out of fear. He does it to make a living. So it's a little bit different, but no,
right.
Is, that's why I made sure I let her know. Look, as a former player, as a guy, we have to do our part to push women's sports, because people go, may he rest in peace. I believe Kobe was gonna be the one to push it to levels no one has ever seen, because his daughter played. So for me, having a daughter that plays basketball, I understand bigger than just basketball, but us saying, listen, we have to be speaking up on behalf of the ladies, and we have to use our voices, platforms, but we got to show up to the games. Make sure we get on the I don't know what they call the cameraman in the O-Dome. Make sure. I don't know who the dude was that go to the games, the real swole up dude that wear the medium jersey. I don't know who that is, black dude, bald head. Every time he look, the cameraman nervous. He like, get that camera off me. He like, I just think for us, the more we have Coach Finn and her players on these platforms, so people can see them. Look, we're people too. We're ladies, and we need y'all support. We ain't gonna ask for it like we used to. But yes, we definitely need. So I'm looking to be like you, Lauren. Be an advocate for women's sports, because, like she said, look, we don't got 80,000 plus in the stands. We don't got sold out games home and away, no matter who we play. That's kind of built in with football. How do we get? A lot of times, our men's basketball, congratulations on them winning the SEC tournament. A lot of what they do has to do with the support around them. And I'm not saying Coach Ty Golden is not a good coach. He is. But I will say this. Coach Ty Golden is not a better coach than Coach Finn. Coach Ty Golden has more support. And that stuff helps. And I love Coach Golden. Now, I am taking nothing away from what he's done. But Coach Golden don't got to deal with South Carolina now. I'm just saying, the creme de la creme team in college basketball is in Columbia. I don't care how you look at it. Well, they got to deal with. So when Coach Finn was staring that monster in the face, and Coach Don Staley ain't but 5 feet. I mean, she like smallest thing you ever seen when you see her. But the way that team plays kind of how she played when she was a player. I'm just making sure that people like Lewis Murphy, Steve Harris. I'm talking about guys that do these type of things, these platforms. Chris Dorn, which I know he does a great job, making sure we amplifying our voices for women's, not just Gator women's sports, but women's sports in general. Say, look, man, that's a great product. You got to see it before you judge it. Don't say nobody watches it. Not true. I mean, especially women's softball. There ain't get that late if you want to. I'm gonna just get that late. You're gonna be standing the whole time. But nah, man, I love Coach Finn. I love what she means to to our basketball program, to our program as a whole. Whenever I get a chance to, chop it up with them, man, it's always a good time.
No doubt. And we're going to have This Day in Sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Ben, this is one that hits close to home. In 1970, Wilson became the official football on this date of the NFL. And it hits close to home because where they make Wilson footballs in Ada, Ohio, is where Ohio Northern University is, where some little dude tried to play receiver for 4 years and get down, and we used to have those Wilson footballs come in before the Super Bowl and get to try them out and throw them around a little bit before they got sent off to where they were going. But it was just that it was kind of, so when I saw that, I was like, wow, that's pretty neat. So this day in sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Before we let you go, Ben, just real quick, are we going chalk for the tournament? You all in on the Gators, or you got somebody else in mind? Give me your final four, and then we'll let you go.
Man, I don't do this. I try to stay away from the chalk because I think it's the easiest thing to do. I really think it's the easiest thing to do. I will say I'm all in for the Gators for a lot of reasons. I mean, we put 14 teams in. We ain't got 16, right?
Yeah.
So the 2 teams that get in, like, what do we do to not get in? I am going chalk for the Gators. I mean, I am going all in for the Gators for this reason. I've seen it. I've seen them run the gauntlet. Auburn, Tennessee. You talk about Alabama. I mean, and you got so many teams that was hard out throughout the course of the year. Florida was able to get past that hiccup of losing to Georgia. And sometimes that just happens. But I'm just looking at what the Mizzou coach said about Florida. I'm looking at what the Tennessee coach said. I mean, the Mizzou coach, he forgot he was talking about Florida at one point. Like, right. Dude, let me think about this team. Then you got the Tennessee coach, and they like to know, so they got 2 of everything. These dudes, I think what makes Florida is we got a strong bench, boy. Our bench, because to me, Lauren, when it comes to basketball, whether you can take college, high school, pro, if you got a soft bench, because the starters can't play every, they want to. They can't play every second. Our bench, we don't lose anything, and I think we can beat you in a lot of ways. We can get up and down the court. We can beat you with the 3-ball. Our offensive rebounder is what I be always telling my nephew, do. Offensive rebound is the skill set.
Right. Well, they definitely. I ain't really got a Final Four right now, but I will say this. I know we say this all the time. If it's ever going to be a year, our guards are. I don't know if there's a better tandem or a three guard in the country. Yeah.
With what we do. So if we can continue to be on the boards how we have been, we suffocate. We can get up if we get up by double digits, it's gonna be hard to catch us because I think we keep keeping those leads. We ain't playing from behind. We usually going into halftime with leads, and we can now. It's different now. You playing a bunch of teams you ain't never played.
Right.
I like Florida shot, man. Walter Clayton, this boy.
Yeah. Shout out to shout out to all 3 guards, man. We got to get out of here, but appreciate you being on, Ben, man. I'll see you Thursday. We'll chop it up then, and appreciate you, like I said, appreciate you as always, man. I know the Florida Gators loved having you on, and we'll see you next time. Appreciate you joining us on the Tuesday edition of PodUp with Matthews in the Morning. I'm Loren Meadows, Ben Troop. Thanks, everybody.